As you know, we have some major concerns and some retesting that needs to happen on the shipyard. With that said, we were promised so many things at Candlestick Point. Affordable housing is already on the way. The retail outlets and projects that were promised. Of course, everything has been delayed, but I'm excited to say that my focus and our office focus is going to be to accelerate Candlestick while we address the concerns and issues that exist on the shipyard, and we're fighting hard to do that. So we're going to see grocery stores, we're going to see a theater, we're going to see affordable housing, we're going to see opportunities for businesses to come in and provide jobs for the community. So trust me, you're going to start hearing some great things about Candlestick Point, what's going to happen over there. I don't live too far from there. I jog past there, I walk past there, I drive past there, and we've already seen some street improvements, but we're going to fight to make sure that's a thriving space in our community, which is what we've been promised. And things are on the way, and that's going to come into fruition.
That's great. Oh, these questions are rolling in. Okay, another one. Is it true that 6 marijuana dispensaries will be opening in the Bayview?
I won't say that it's true that 6 will be opening. I believe that there are permits for 6 dispensaries that I know of. As far as their opening, there's going to be a process. I have to really sit down, talk more with the Office of Cannabis, and also talk about what their equity program is going to be. What are they going to be doing in terms of community benefits for the community? Also, who their equity partners are, what folks that have been formerly incarcerated, how many jobs are they going to provide for people who can't typically get work, and what their benefit to community is going to be. But I have heard that there are permits out there. I believe the number is 6 or around 6, but whether or not they all exactly come into fruition, I think is still a continued conversation. But the possibility of some dispensaries being on the way is definitely in order right now.
Someone else asked, is it possible to do more recruiting of locals into the SF police department to sort of address the issue of having local cops be available and part of the community?
Well, that's one of the things that we've talked about, and of course is part of reforms, providing opportunities and pathways for people who live in San Francisco, people of color who live in San Francisco, to become a part of the police department. And we have the community safety initiative that we've been working on the past few years with young people and providing opportunities for them to work in careers in public safety. So they've worked with public defender's office, with the DA's office, with the sheriff's department, with the police department. They've gotten internships, they've built relationships and been interacting with people in law enforcement and in public safety, so they can learn about the careers, more about the opportunities. And so you're going to continue to see more about that, even with the Mayor's Opportunity for All program, providing internships in the areas where you interact with law enforcement and you learn more about the job. Those things are going to be on the way, and they're coming. And with that, that's how we build a workforce across all sectors, but particularly across the sectors of employment where we need folks who identify from community to work in. Internships, pathway opportunities are the way that it has to happen. Some of that is happening and is going to be increased a little bit more this summer. And so things like that are leading us in a positive direction.
That's great. Brenda, thanks so much for this question. Are there any plans to update, clean, fix up the neighborhood parks and playgrounds? What was done in Gilman's great, but the Casey Jones Park and playground around across the street from my house has absolutely no garbage cans. So there's trash everywhere. What can be done? Is that part of your longer term plan?
Definitely part of a long-term plan, and actually for Casey Jones, even part of a shorter-term plan. I actually have been talking to the leadership of Park and Rec, and was actually texting with a commissioner, Park and Rec commissioner, earlier today about Casey Jones. Casey Jones, we're working to get some of the current bond money for improvements at Casey Jones. It looks like we're going to be successful in that. We're also going to be working on a bond for 2020 for increased revitalization of some of our parks in the district and in community. But as far as trash cans go, please reach out to my office, percy.birch@sfgov.org. Those are things that we can work on in the short term. I also like to remind people that when we put trash cans in certain areas, because they're great ideas and they work in some places, but they also encourage dumping in other areas. So I just want to be mindful of that as we strategically decide what goes where, that's also been problematic in some of the areas. But Casey Jones is at the top of my list. We are going to see improvements there. We're going to see changes there soon. And there's also a long-term maintenance plan. We have beautiful parks in the district. We have some beautiful parks in Bayview, but maintenance, how they're taken care of, where they're clean by Rec and Park, and what happens there is something that needs to happen. And also creating some type of either internship or community ambassadors program for young folks who live in the neighborhood to help with the cleanliness of some of our parks, are some of the things that we're going to be working on too to improve parks. But it's a high priority for us to improve our parks. We have a lot of families in Bayview, a lot of families in our community, and so we deserve to be able to go and exercise, to go spend time and have family outings and barbecues and different things, and clean parks and parks that look as beautiful and pristine as other areas in San Francisco.
That's great. And I know that this is near and dear to my heart. I'm right across from MLK Park myself, and I know that the Parks Department has really been working hard to get grant money from various places to sort of clean that up. And if people are really interested, we'll be incorporating some of that work into potentially like a future webinar. So there's a lot of work actually going in around the parks. And so to have you in that office really sort of help push that work forward is going to be really helpful. And as part of the follow-up, I will definitely include the email of the person in Shamann's office to deal with some of these issues, because I think we just need that extra set of eyes sort of moving forward.
And I appreciate that. And again, we utilize our parks, you utilize our parks, what's not happening, what's going on. And so it's just good to have this dialogue so I can learn more about what the community is seeing so we can address it.
So another question that we have is, I live in the Bayview and met Mr. Walton and complained about corner stores with liquor and the loitering and trashing the area. What can be done about loitering and trashing the area around sort of some of these corner liquor stores?
Well, what we've been doing is having conversations with some of our store owners to talk about, some of the things that they allow to happen, what's their responsibility, and also what's the community's responsibility, and then what's law enforcement's responsibility. I believe that if we have more officers on the foot beat, building relationships with communities, spending time and being visible, that actually decreases loitering in certain areas. But we also have to work on our stores and let the ownership know that we're not going to be tolerating this, and there's a role that they play in keeping their storefronts a certain way. But a bigger picture, a bigger systemic issue is there is nothing for our young people to do. And when people don't have things to do, they congregate in certain areas. I mean, I talk about this all the time. When I get off of work, there are certain places and restaurants and bars that my friends and I, we get a chance to go to, and we have an opportunity to hang out. Young people, not so much. We don't have a bowling alley, a skate rink, a movie theater, innovation hub where young people can spend time and hang out with each other. And everybody wants to be able to enjoy their friends and hang out somewhere. And so we have to focus on bringing in the things to our community that keep people off the street, keep them from hanging out, and give them viable options to have something to do. So we're working on all those things to decrease the loitering and to get people away from stores and into some more constructive areas and opportunities. It's going to take some time, but we're working on making that happen.
That's great. Another question. There's a new arts and culture district in the Bayview. What are your hopes, plans for it, and how will it help the community?
Well, I'm very excited about the Arts and Cultural District. There's some legislation components that are being worked out. The leadership group is putting some of the pieces together on how it's going to operate, what the formation is going to look like. But I'm extremely excited about the Cultural District. It's going to help us, one, preserve the look and feel of the indigenous components of Bayview and just the district as a whole. But I think one of the things I'm excited about is because we're going to be focused on economic opportunity carve-outs and things that are going to apply to the cultural district and give us the opportunity legislatively to bring more resources into our cultural district corridor, to bring more opportunity to help our businesses out, to help some of the community-based organizations that are part of the cultural district, and the people that live in and around the cultural district. So I'm looking forward to a vibrant cultural district that brings foot traffic, that has thriving businesses, that is a place where residents can walk to, that brings transportation and improves transportation, and just really preserves the culture of Bayview as a district and as the final frontier for the Black community. We need to make sure that the cultural district does all of that and make sure people understand that, wow, we still do have a few Black folks in San Francisco, and that cultural district is going to help us preserve that as well.
Yeah. And it's near and dear to my heart because I'm actually on the working group, and we've been meeting for a very long time to finally get that passed in December. And so to be able to celebrate the Bayview as the African American Cultural District and also make that available to everyone, right? I think that's really important. That it's not just my story, it's not just your story, but it's our collective story. And I know you believe in that, and I know you're pushing for it too. And it's just really near and dear to my heart. So on that one, you can totally reach out to me too, since I'm on the working group committee, if you have particular questions about that. A couple more, because, oh my gosh, the time has flown. From Anthony, how do you plan to engage with the Bayview Hunters Point Environmental Justice Task Force in identifying violations affecting our neighborhood? Also, are there any thoughts to community-based air quality monitoring that are emerging in partnership with the California Air Resource Board?
So one, just in terms of any task force or any group, please reach out. Let's set up a time to meet so I can learn more about what you're doing, what your work is. It is very important to me that we make sure, that we have better air quality in the district, to make sure that the environment is cleaned up. We know that we have some areas in the district that need to be cleaned. And so working closely with environmental groups or workforce development groups or education groups, parents, everyone, that's something that I'm big on. And so in terms of engagement, please reach out to my office. Let's set up a time to meet so we can start working together. And my plan will be to be available and accessible so I can learn more about the work that is happening and how this office can be beneficial to protecting all of us.
That's great. And everyone, with that was the final question. We have hit the 1 o'clock hour. And again, we did this format as a way for people to be able to engage during their lunchtime. Let me know in the chat if this is worthwhile, so we'll know that we should be keeping this going. And I just want to really say, number one, I appreciate you, Supervisor Walton, for everything that you're doing, for sort of stepping up. You were in a really great field of really amazing people, and you won. Now that you're in the spot, we're looking at you, and we're looking to work with you too. And I think, in closing, my ask would be, would you be willing to come back in 45 days, sort of give us sort of an update on where you are?
Well, I would definitely love to come back. And again, I think this is a great platform and a great way for us to communicate with each other outside of just direct contact, because using innovation and technology to connect is important. So thank you so much for providing this platform. I definitely will come back in 45 days and look forward to coming back.
Oh, perfect. And for everyone else, we will be having our next One Bayview Speaks. It will actually be One Bayview Speaks on education, where we will be talking specifically about education of young people in the neighborhood, and all the things that are sort of going to be associated with that, from public schools to summer programs, et cetera, and any issues, or concerns or potential solutions that you have. Would love you sort of to come forward and be part of that discussion too. We're really looking forward to this whole series, and we really want to know from you whether this is sort of worthwhile. So 1, in the chat, let us know. 2, you will be getting an email from One Bayview, a little survey. Let us know if this is worthwhile, how we could potentially change it to make it, even better. And we actually might even ask you questions about, if we were going to do a follow-up, one like 7 o'clock at night, would that actually work out well too? So you let us know, and we're really looking forward to everything that you guys are doing. Thank you so much for being part of this today. Thank you, June. I think this is ingenious. Thank you for being on board. Frank, thank you, Anietie, very good. I was able to hear and follow along greatly. Thank you for being on board. This is really what it's all about. Nicholas, thank you for the webinar. I'm sad the speaker didn't have time to pose my question to Supervisor Walton. You know what? We'll work through that. Maybe you can email me at community at onebayview.com, and we'll sort of figure out a way to sort of send the questions forward that haven't been answered. Because again, everything's really worthwhile, but we do have a limited amount of time. Thanks so much today. Really, really appreciate everyone. Have a good rest of your day.